my name is Sarah Espinal, and today I will be summarizing a study completed by Primack et al. That linked social media use to isolation in young adults. First, let me explain a few key terms needed to understand the study. The term social media use, or SMU, means the personal use of social media websites of an individual. This does not count time spent on these websites for work-related reasons. The term perceived social isolation, or PSI, is the perception of an individual that he or she is alone, does not have ties to the community, and are not understood by many people. An independent variable causes the change seen in the dependent variable. This study had two IVs, time and frequency of SMU. A dependent variable is changed by the IV. In this study, the DV is PSI. Confounding variables are other variables besides the IV that can change the DV. Here, CVs were relationship status and income. Et al. Here indicates that there were 8 other researchers involved in this study. Now let's discuss the previous understanding of SMU and PSI. Most past research indicates that people constrained to strict physical environments or have disorders that make it difficult to communicate with people face-to-face or in real life have experienced less PSI with more SMU. However, these results were then generalized to other populations that did not face these problems. Because of this, Primack et al.'s original research hypothesis was that increased SMU would be associated with lower levels of PSI. A research hypothesis is an idea for how to best explain a phenomenon. The researchers' findings did not actually end up supporting their original hypothesis. They found that more SMU was actually associated with higher levels of PSI. To better understand how Primack et al. Came to this conclusion, let's look at the study's design. Researchers selected a sample via random selection based off of phone numbers and addresses. An online survey was then sent to these participants with questions regarding their SMU and feelings of PSI. SMU was measured by asking how many times and for how long each logged on to various social media websites on average. PSI was measured by asking participants how often in the past 7 days they had felt left out, not understood, and isolated from others. Now let's discuss the researchers' sample in greater detail. By randomly selecting participants, Primack et al. Were able to collect a sample that represented 97% of the young adult population in the United States. Valid participants were anyone living in the United States aged 19 to 32. People of this age are considered to be young adults. Online surveys were sent to 3,048 individuals and 1,787 responded. These participants were of all sexes, races, relationship statuses, levels of income, and levels of education. Though Primack et al. Found that there was an association between high levels of SMU and high levels of PSI, this does not mean that SMU is the only action causing PSI. Relationship status and income were found to also influence levels of PSI. Those in relationships and those with higher incomes were found to have lower PSIs than those not in relationships or those making less than $30,000 per year. This makes these two variables confounding variables. Though the study did produce important findings, it also had some drawbacks. Because so many people participated in the survey, it was impossible for researchers to directly download all of their social media data and analyze patterns of SMU for themselves. This forced participants to have to report their own SMU, which could lead to untrue results. If a person could not remember their own SMU or over or underestimated their use, it could skew the results. The results can't explain people's behaviors and feelings that fall outside the 19 to 32 age range that was sampled for this study. Furthermore, alternative explanations still need to be addressed about the relationship between SMU and PSI. For example, could it be that people with higher PSI simply use social media more often, or do people really feel more isolated because of SMU? Despite these drawbacks, Primack et al. Study cannot be ignored. The study revolutionized the way we think about SMU and PSI. Some psychologists could now suggest real-life interaction over using social media for clients who are physically and mentally able to do so. This study also illustrated the need for more research to be done in this area. Thank you for listening, and I hope you now have a solid understanding of this groundbreaking study.